We are live. Ask us anything. AMA. Well, and we kind of been joking about that. Ask us anything or ask me anything. Welcome, everybody. My name is CJ Johnson, and I am one half of Better Pickleball. We're going to have Tony Roig joining us in just a second. But this is the unofficial start of our Pickleball Summit. This is the 5th year for the Pickleball Summit. And the Pickleball Summit was a really started in 2020 when everything shut down, and it was the pandemic. And during the pandemic, I'd always wanted to do a summit, and so we did this summit, and that's where I met my business partner. My partner in crime nowadays is my partner in crime, Tony Roig, and Better Pickleball. And tonight we're unofficially kicking off the summit. And we're here.
I feel excluded, CJ. I feel excluded. I feel left out of this conversation.
Do you hear that voice? Do you hear that voice in the background?
Leave me on here like this, CJ, so our podcast listeners can just be like, it's a podcast.
And it's one of those things. Now you know how I go to bed at night. I'm like, I'm there all by myself, and I'm hearing him in my head. But I will tell you, it's generally
not all bad.
It's not all bad. It's a good voice to hear. Come on, you're one of the best coaches in pickleball, Coach Roig.
We try, that's for sure. So it's good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. CJ, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing, Tony?
No complaints, CJ Johnson. Everything is great. Summit, getting ready for it and excited. And I want to move the camera a little bit this way. Why not, right? We have freedom today. There we go.
Right. Well, that's all the stuff that happens when we're live, right? I mean, believe me, we have had like cats step on the power to the computer and snowstorms and oh my goodness, we've had we've had hurricanes. We had some weather down Tony's way once, so we've kind of had a little bit of everything during the live. But welcome. We're really glad that you're all joining us tonight for an Ask Me Anything.
I look forward to CJ, love talking pickleball and look forward to answering the questions. If you have questions, obviously put them where, CJ? What are they supposed to be the questions?
All right. So I know that we're broadcasting in a lot of different places. So if you have questions, you will put them in your Pickleball Summit dashboard, which you're going to access at pickleballsummit.com. So that is the place where all things Pickleball Summit are happening. Put them in your dashboard. I think, who's in that dashboard tonight? I think maybe it's Steve is helping us with that dashboard this evening.
We have team members in all locations, all locales. So
exactly. And they'll put that link in. They will put that link in. And Tony, can I answer the first Ask Me Anything question?
You can answer anything.
This is the question we get every year, no matter what. Never fails. Where is the Pickleball Summit located?
It's in Southern Fresno. You got to come. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Now we're going to have people going to Southern Fresno. It is located wherever you are sitting. Hopefully not where you're driving. Maybe where you're playing pickleball. We've got someone, BLB, I think, was getting a room for all his pickleball club to get together and watch this. It's online. Awesome. It is online, people. Players, it's online. So you can come to this no matter where you are. So that's the number one most asked question that we get about the Pickleball Summit. It's online.
Every year.
All
good.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely. Can I also say this before we dive into the rest of it?
Of course.
So one of the other things that I think is super exciting this year, the number one player in pickleball is here. Now, the last 2 years, we've had the number 2 player in pickleball.
Yeah.
We have the number 2
player. We love them all.
They're all great. We do. We love them all. We love them all. But we've got the number 1 player in pickleball.
But I will say this, CJ, I think the key there is, when you come to the summit, you're going to, at the summit, you're going to hear from the best. I appreciate the compliment to my coaching. You're also an amazing coach yourself, CJ. we are surrounded by just the best in the summit. You know, and the information that they're going to share is going to be amazing. So, you know, highly recommend you make as many presentations as you can. You probably can't make them all. There's too many, but make as many as you can. If you want to make them all, there's all access pass. You can check that out. I think there's something on the dashboard about that or somewhere. But anyway, but just make as many as you can. There's at least always, you know, what I've been saying, CJ, is at least one presentation that's going to knock your socks off. One presentation you're going to go like, oh my God, you know, and there's something there for everybody. So.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is one of the things that always blows me away with, we're going to answer some questions. We'll get past where's the summit question shortly. That is one of the things that I will tell you as a coach, I'm always learning. So when we're working with these coaches, whether I'm working with Tony, I mean, obviously Tony and I work together on a daily basis. But some of these coaches we've worked with for a period of several years. And one of the things that's always attracted us to these coaches are they are always learning and growing. So every time that we get together, they have been working and testing and formulating and not only in their own pickleball games, because a lot of coaches well, all of us love to play. Some of us have different proficiency levels than others. And but one of the things in terms of coaching is we're always tweaking and refining so that you get the message more efficiently and more quickly, and you get improvement faster.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, the game evolves. I mean, the game, everybody knows the game's evolving. We're in an evolve. You know, the game evolves, and so we got to move with it, right? And the coaches, the pros, the coaches. I mean, you know, I'm in conversation all the time, and so is CJ, with the coaches and a lot of top level players, and we're talking to them about different concepts on dinking, on third shots, on four shots. Everybody's trying to solve the puzzle, and so two things I would say about that, CJ. One is the game evolves, right? And so you want to like the 2023 summit, the 2020 summit, not the same as the 2024 summit. It's different information.
Right.
And the other thing is that you know, we need to be sensitive to where we are in the game, right? So, like, in other words, you know, if you're 3.5, right, that's fantastic. You're playing 3.5 pickleball, awesome on you, right? There's progress to be made, but what's the next step for you is going to be critical to figure out what's right for you. Because I'm going to tell you this, no matter where you are, there's always going to be another step to take, and that's the beauty of our sport. So that's something that we embrace. So
perfect.
So CJ, we got a question. You ready?
I am ready. I am. You didn't even.
Did you just fancy change the background? That was fancy.
I just fancy.
That was
fancy
slick.
Change the background.
All right, so
that was like one of Jose's roll volleys, wasn't it?
I know,
It was like, boom! You don't even know that sucker's coming, and before you know it, it's right in your chest.
All right, here we go. So question number one. I'm going to take this one over the CJ, and then
you got it.
I understand each scenario is unique, but in general, if I get pulled wide at the kitchen line, what is the best, and in parentheses, most consistent, great way to frame it, shot for me to play? Reset, lob, cross-court drop, etc. So I'm going to give you two options. And this is, I'm going to lean into what we talked about a second ago, which is the beauty of our sport being the, you know, that there's always some, you know, some variant, right? There's always some, like, and not just a variant in terms of, like, and you asked it really well, right? There's, like, you know, everything's unique, things like that. There's also a variant in terms of you as a player, right? So what shots are you most comfortable with? You know, like the shot that I like to hit from that position a lot of times is a lob. I like a lob from that position because I have a good lob, a good NPC lob. You pull me wide, I'm going to lob it towards the center line. You know, I'm going to aim towards the center line, maybe a little bit past it. That's where I'm going to go with my shot. But I can tell you that when I played against El Condor, one of the original, you know, greats of our game, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. If he's not, he should be, and if not, he definitely will be. But, you know, he was one of the greatest players in pickleball. In 2014, 2015, he was winning everything. His best shot there is he does a dump dink. The dump dink, not dump, which basically means he would take the ball and just softly touch it with his paddle, and it would just barely go over the net, you know, nice and high over, and drop in nice and calm. That's a tough shot to handle, but if you have it, great. And then another really good option is you can dink it, but toward the middle. So you're going to dink like cross court, but more toward the middle than trying to go all the way across. When you go all the way across, you're all the way on this side of the court. You're sending it all the way to that side of the court. Very difficult to execute. Plus, there's a lot of open court between you and the other side of the court. Your partner is hopefully moving over to help a little bit, right? If you dump it into that middle, right, towards the center line on the, I know there's not a line there, but you know what I'm saying, the imaginary center line of the NBZ area. If you dump it around there in that direction, now your partner can close and stand there and help you out more. And then it buys you time to recover. What you don't want to do is just smack it at the player next to you, because you smack it at the player next to you, there's a gap between you and your partner, boop, right between you. So that's the answer to that question. So
Cool.
I know there's some more questions coming through. CJ, you got one on your end, I think. You see it, or do you see it there?
I do. It's talking about like these things. We get that. This is, you know it. We get this question a lot too. Is how should we track the ball with our eyes? All the way to the paddle, or most of the way, and in the last few minutes before contact, to look to the other side of the court to acquire your target. So here's the thing to understand about your eyes is, even though you're trying to track the ball all the way into your paddle, technically your eyes cannot pick it. The ball's moving too fast. You're not going to pick it up all the way to the paddle. But here's why that would be problematic is if I'm looking at the paddle and now I lift up my head to look on the other side of the court, I am going to, chances are, I'm going to move what we call foundation. So the foundation is the connection between your shoulder and between your foot on the court. What you really want to do there is track the ball to your paddle, but have your peripheral vision working for you, right? So Tony likes to talk about it. One of the ways that he sees it is he kind of sees shadows and objects. I see it a little differently. I see kind of colors. I tend to see the colors of player shirts and things like that. We're really talking about the same thing. We're picking up the peripheral vision of where the target would be. So now one of my favorite drills, because I think a lot of players have a hard time tracking the ball, especially players who don't come from a racket sport. One of my favorite drills is just stand with a partner, stand about 5 feet away from that partner, take a pickleball, and just very gently start tossing it to each other, kind of like right center mass, right in your chest. So it's very easy to catch. And what you want to focus on doing is just watching the holes on the ball all the way into your hand. So as I toss it to Tony, I'm watching the holes. As it comes back to me and I catch it, I'm watching the holes on the ball. I'm watching the holes, not just the ball itself. I'm watching the holes into my hand. And then when we get comfortable with that, just kind of start tossing it off to the side and just get used to watching the holes on the ball. So you're really tracking your eyes to train the ball.
CJ, I'm going to take the next couple of questions. I don't know if you have your mic next to you. You're kind of coming in on the audio. So if you have the Yeti available, I'm calling the Yeti.
I'm on the Yeti.
All right, I'm just telling you.
I am on the Yeti. All right,
closer to yourself or something, because you're fading in and out a lot. So
okay.
All right, I got the next one here. So how do you anticipate what shots your opponent hit so I'm better prepared? I love that question, and it's a common area where players want to improve, right? Which is, I want to know what's going on earlier. And so the answer to that is there's a lot that you can do before the ball even gets hit by your opponents. And I'm going to give you one scenario, because I think it's more concrete this way. And it has to do with reading short returns of serve. So when you're reading a short return of serve, you don't have to wait till your opponent hits the ball to anticipate a short return of serve. What you can do is, when your partner's getting ready to serve, you look across and you say, my partner's got a huge serve. I see my opponent standing on the line, right, too close in. What's that tell you? Probably going to be a short return of serve. Start there. Then you see the serve get hit. You're like, oh my God, that thing's a bomb. That thing's going deep, right? And then you see your opponent, the returner, going back, right? What's that tell you? Probably short return of serve. So what you start doing then is you start coming into the court before the return is hit. And it seems like a superpower, but all you're doing is putting together pieces like Sherlock Holmes, right? You're putting together pieces that you're seeing before the ball gets hit. So anticipation begins well before the ball gets hit. Start there, and you start building that muscle, and from there you can learn how to anticipate other shots. The other thing I would suggest to you is tendencies. That's a really good way of doing it. So if you have if you're playing a banger, probably going to bang it at you, right? So be ready for the bang. You're playing a lobber, probably going to lob it. So you're anticipating based on the expected tendencies of your opponent. CJ, can I answer one more? Or do you want to take one in the middle here?
No,
right.
you go ahead.
Why might one use a third shot drive? And can it help the serve team's objective to overcome its positional disadvantage without too much risk? If so, how? This must be a TPS member, the way that they framed that. I love it. Or a camper or something like that. It's one of our students, because the overcome positional disadvantages, CJ and Tony terminology, and our, I would say, our coaching team terminology as well. And so anyway, so that's awesome to have you ask it that way. So the drive is not intended to, it's not a shot intended to accomplish that objective. Okay. So the drive is, think of the drive as an outlier, as a counter strategy, or as an exception strategy. If you're going to use the drive, you're using the drive in, I'll give you 3 scenarios. One is when you have an opponent who can't handle it, right? So you're using the drive there. You're kind of bullying your opponent, if you want to think about it negatively, right? But you're basically, you're pushing your opponent around with a shot. The second reason to use it is when there's a gap. So if you're playing like a team that stacks and they're coming out of the stack and there's a hole, or you have a returner that doesn't come in, you drive it at them to keep them deep. Those are examples of using the drive, but they're counter strategies, because you're taking advantage of an what's what I'm looking for, of an aberration, right? Of like a exception to a normal play, right? And they're up, they can handle blocks. Drive doesn't work so well. Another reason you can use it, last reason, is to keep the rally alive. Sometimes you'll see, and I think players confuse this, CJ, when they see a third drive by a pro. Oftentimes the third drive from the pro is simply to extend the rally one more shot. They're going to drop the fifth. So they're hitting the drive as a rally extender, not to do anything fancy. So those are that in that scenario, I guess, yes, then it would help you accomplish your objective, because the shot the third was too complicated. Either it was too much, too hard, too cut, too weird. You just hit that one kind of whatever, and then you set up for the fifth. So hopefully it helps answer that question.
All right, let me rattle off a few that I got coming through. I'm left-handed, but for most of my life done things ambidextrously. I'm finding that some shots I hit better with my left hand and some with my right. Do I need to pick a hand once and for all, or is it okay to play ambidextrously? I would say if it's okay to play that way, if it's something that you can do. The caveat being, most players can't do it as successfully as sticking with one hand. It slows your reaction time moving a paddle from one side to the other. And that is, and we're in a game where time is of the essence. So choose wisely. In rec play, when partnered with a weaker player, do you try to cover for the weaker player? Guess what? There is a video on Better Pickleball where we talked about that in detail. In fact, I think we put it up about 2 weeks ago. And the thumbnail has Tony with one of our team members. Kylene is there, and it's talking about targeting. So there are different things that you can do when a player is targeted, or when a player is targeted. Some of that depends on what kind of situation you're in and what's happening. So I would recommend.
I would also note that on the question about hand switching, we have a video on Into Pickle. So we have three YouTube channels. The one with the podcast, we have Better Pickleball and Into Pickle. If you go to Into Pickle, IN2 Pickle, just type in Into Pickle, switch hands, you'll come up with a video that explains it a little more in depth, talks about this more fully. So you can check that out as well.
All right. Okay. So Tony, I'm going to read this one for you, and then I have more coming through as well. So
I can read it, CJ. I got it. I see it.
I missed one. I missed one. No, I missed one at the top. What's the best way to defend against shots at your feet?
Oh yeah, we did miss one.
Okay, I missed one. That's what I'm trying to say.
The best way, I know. The best way is to have your paddle out in front, and don't confuse this with ready position. Okay, those are two different. Ready position is important, but this is not just ready position. We're talking about shots at the feet. You want to take your paddle and just put it out in front of you, right? And here is a great example of where dropping your paddle head can add to your game. So instead of having the paddle like this, you drop the head down, and then you just hold it out in front, open meaning like it's open like my hand is, right? So the ball's going to bounce here. That'll really help you with defending your shots. That's why, when players work with CJ and me on pickleball, one of the most important things we teach them is every shot that we work on starts out in front, whether it's a volley, whether it's a dink, all starts out in front. That way, when the balls get crazy, you just put the paddle out there and you're good to go. That's how you're going to best defend it.
Absolutely. When's the best way to recognize recognize when a player is going to poach? Well, if his name happens to be Tony and he's definitely playing, well, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's mixed or gender, you know he's going to poach. Tendencies. Players have tendencies. Are they crowding the middle? Are they leaning towards the center? Have they moved up into the court on a player's third shot? So really, when it comes to poaching, what's the player's tendency? You know, the players who are going to poach and who don't. And this kind of ties in with an answer I think that you gave previously, Tony, is tendencies. Who are the people that you are playing against? You know who's the lobber in your group. Say their name out loud wherever you are right now. Who's the banger in your group? Who's the soft game player in your group? I bet you named people. Those are their tendencies. So Coach Mo, actually, and Coach Mo, Coach Mo is on the summit this year. Coach Mo is one of the original pickleball coaches. I don't think this is in his summit presentation. This is like, we had a long conversation with Coach Mo at his table, and he's got this heavy New England accent. You gotta have a book on everyone you play against, meaning you need to know the tendencies of the players that you're playing against. So if Tony's the poacher, when does Tony have tendencies to poach? If CJ is the lobber, when does CJ have a tendency to lob? Because we all have patterns.
Yep. Yeah, it's a pattern game, just like life. So it's going to be the same in pickleball. So
I'm going to take one more quick one, and then I'll tee up the next one for you. When in a firefight, my shots are hit with the backhand. My question has two parts. The continental backhand works well for a block or a backspin shot, but I'm wanting to be able to deliver a stronger punch volley. Would you recommend a grip change? I would not recommend a grip change at the non-volley zone line. Chances are you're not going to be able to do that fast enough. And if you're talking about an overall grip change takes a lot of time, and you would need to weigh the consequences of getting a better grip for a firefight versus everything else that you do. Tony and I recommend the continental grip. That's the grip that we recommend just because it's the most universal grips that there are.
Well, it gives you the most versatility, right? It lets you handle the most variety of shots, and you can still develop strength. You can still develop a good shot off the continental. You don't need to change your grip to develop a good shot. You'll need some practice, and you maybe even some strength training on your arm if you want to hit a little bit harder on those. So I would recommend the angle of the shot's probably more important than the pace of it. But
right. And one of the things too is, what's your main driver, right? Where's the shot coming from?
Right. Correct.
All right. Okay. Here, Tony, I'm going to tee this one up for you. Let's see. Serving swing motion for a deep serve. I want to use my core and not mostly my arm. I was told to move my hip first to engage the core. Any tips on how to think about this so it is natural? Thank you.
Sure. One thing you can think about is it seems a little weird, but when you get out there, if you practice it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Imagine hitting the ball with your hip. So as you're either dropping it or tossing it, however you do it, right? And then imagine like your hip kind of coming forward, right? And driving into that ball through with your hip. That'll generate that motion that you're trying to do. It's basically like an unwinding or unwinding of the body. So you kind of wind it like this, and then you unwind it as you come out. And it just happens like in phases, right? So there's an unwind. But if you think about your hip coming forward, that'll be fine. Another thing I would suggest on a deep serve is, I don't know where you're targeting it over the net, but consider raising your trajectory over the net. So how high you hit it over the net, because you can hit a deeper serve with less energy if you lift it up. If you're trying to power it low, it's hard to do and you're risking the net. So consider that as well if you're not already doing that. So.
All right, let's see. So Tony, let me throw this one up for you as well.
Oh, I like this one. Yeah, I want to do this one. Go ahead.
I have trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I knew this is tailor-made for you. I have trouble shifting from my backhand volley position to a forehand, especially up around my shoulder or head level. Should I pivot to a more closed stance in the process of switching?
This is what you want to do on that. You want to do this. And just get out of the way. I mean, here's the thing. I'm assuming you're talking about hard shots, because if they're slow shots, you should probably have plenty of time, be my guess. Hard shots coming at your shoulder or your head, just let them go. Let them go. Even backhand or forehand, doesn't matter. Let them go. If it's coming too fast for you to react from backhand to forehand, I would let them go. So that would be my advice. Otherwise, there are some complicated things you can do. Like you can try and do the pancake, the scorpion. Those are like where you hit them, like you kind of duck down and hit it over your head and stuff like that. But generally speaking, if it's that high, shoulder or head, I would get out of the way and take my chances of the ball going out if I can't get it with my backhand. And if you need to do something, then you can move your body over. So like if you anticipate a shot, what you can do is move your body to, if you're right-handed, you move your body to the right, left-handed, you move your body to the left, opening up more backhand, which, to avoid the need to have to switch from one hand to the other. So.
All right. And I'm going to say that I know that a few of you have asked where the questions are coming from in a couple of different places. So if you've got a question, come on into Hey Summit, go over to pickleballsummit.com, get a free ticket, and you'll see the call is live, and we're going to stay on and answer these questions. So we're going to be here because we also want to talk about a couple of pickleball pet peeves. So take your time, but come on over, and that's where you can get your questions answered. During a hard, fast game, my response time is slow. How can I improve this? You have that drill with Eric on Into Pickle, right? The fast hands drill. Isn't that on Into Pickle?
We have one on there, although I would suggest for this, and we do have it on Into Pickle, you can check it out. I would suggest you're probably doing too much. You're probably trying to do too much with your paddle. So consider doing less with your paddle, less movement of your paddle, right? And that'll save you time, right? So that'd be my guess. My guess is you're trying to do a lot of this, right? And so what happens is the ball's coming fast, you're doing this, really hard to do that. You want to do this. But we do have that one. If you want to work on your fast hand, sure. There's a drill on there.
Never played a ball sport in my life. Played a couple months now. Working on only hitting the ball, and now consistent about that. But need to work on aim now. Not sure how to do that, or where to go on your website or YouTube for it. Please advise. Go ahead, Tony. Take that one.
That's a great question. I'm going to give you a general suggestion. Then I'm going to suggest that the most complete resource out there is called the Pickleball System. It happens to be a CJ and I teach it. That's a fact, but it is the most complete system, and it does teach you. We've been talking about energy and trajectory. I mentioned it earlier with the serve. Those concepts are embedded inside our program. In the meantime, what I would suggest to you is we have a drill inside there, actually, that I'll share with you, called Be the Boss, which is basically go out to the court and be like a child. Try and be like a child. Take 20 balls, 30 balls, however many you have. Put them in a bucket. You don't need a ball machine or anything for this. All you're going to do is you're going to find different places to stand, and you're going to aim for different things. And it doesn't have to be the court. I want to be clear. It can be the net post. It can be the fence, particularly if you don't have a background in racket sports, right, or in ball sports. This will really give you a lot of freedom, a lot of comfort. Me as a tennis player, I played tennis since I was a little child, right? They took me out on a pickleball court. It was fine. I could hit the ball into the court. I didn't have any idea about strategy at the time, but I could hit the ball anywhere on the court because I came from tennis. So you can have the same kind of feeling that I have. Just go out there and hit the ball all over the place. And then we have a class starting in September. If you want to really go deep, it sounds like you're super passionate about pickleball. Welcome to the sport. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I love your term consistent, by the way, because that's a term that CJ and I use. The importance in mechanics is repeatable and consistent. The other stuff, noise, hard, spinny, whatever. Get that out of here. Repeatable and consistent. Yeah, you'll win a ton of games. Repeatable and consistent. So good stuff. You're on the right track.
Tony, you take this one. I'm going to take the next one. What's the best response when you hit a good third shot and your opponent takes a step back, lets the ball bounce, and then they drive it back at you or your partner, and their shot won't go out of the back of the court?
First of all, I would suggest that the ball, I'm going to challenge the premise, and let me tell you the reason why. When we teach our camps, we talk about this, and we talk about the player stepping back and doing all this type of thing, right? And I am a good driver. I'm a senior pro player. I'm a come from tennis, like I said. I'm a good driver, and I will take a ball and I will drop it from as high as I can, right? So, and it only gets to right around the net height, and then I'll start driving some of them. Invariably, like 90% plus go out or hit the net. That's it. It's almost impossible to drive that ball into the court. Now, if you are playing, Ben Johns or somebody like that, right? And they can get it in the court. You're playing a really good player, right? To do that, then what I would suggest there is a tendency issue. You might want to stay back on that one shot. So the ball, if the ball keeps on getting attacked and you keep on getting beat, maybe come into the court 2 steps and chill out there for a second, and then find a better opportunity to come in, get it to the player's backhand so they can't drive it, and then you can move forward. So that's a more advanced concept. But there you look at where you're hitting your third in terms of where you're getting hurt. But if you are getting attacked, and this, I'm going to make this broader, CJ, if I can, because more often the problem is the ball is attackable out of the air. So you have that high, deep third, right, that gets smashed from the air, and players are running in behind that ball. And the problem there isn't the shot, it's the position of the player. And so there, what we want to focus on is where we are on the court. You can extend that to this concept if they are in fact hitting inside the court. I would recommend let a few go and see what happens. Let's run the numbers on it. And then if they're all landing in the court, then yeah, you got to hang out back. You're playing really, really high level drivers. So.
Yep. And I do have to say, players are astonished when we do that drill at camp. And Tony he's modest. He said, I'm a good driver of the ball. Tony's an excellent driver of the ball. And having watched him hit hundreds of those drives at a variety of different camps, there are very few that actually stay in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a court that's partially in the sun and partially in the shade. Sometimes I momentarily lose the ball. Any recommendations? That's just the hardest. That's just one of the hardest things to do, is to go from sun to shade. I mean, you see that in tennis, you see that in pickleball. You might try adjusting the glasses or the lenses that you're using with the glasses that you're wearing. I like a blue light. I like a blue lens. I wear that outdoors. That helps me to pick up the ball a little bit more. So I would just try potentially adjusting the lens. All right, let's see. How do you return a lob effectively? Wow. Okay.
I can deal with that. Because I'm going to give him one answer, and then I'm going to suggest you that
that's like 50 pieces.
And listen, I'm not trying to avoid the question. I'm going to tell you it's a very complex. I mean, it's a very short question with a lot to unpack. And to give you an example, CJ and I know that lobbing is problematic, right? And so we have our Better Pickleball Academy. So one of our courses that we were talking about was, let's do a lob coverage and defense course, right? How do you reduce the lobs, recognize them, and go get them safely and effectively, right? And as the course developed, it ended up being a masterclass, honestly. Like it's 14 videos covering all the pieces of lob coverage, because are you playing with a partner who'll cover with you? Are you doing it on your own? Is it a medium lob, a deep lob? That kind of thing. So it's a pretty complex answer. I will tell you this. The most important element of any lob coverage, whether it's a medium lob, short, medium, deep lob, doesn't matter. How you're covering it doesn't matter, is this concept of opening the door. And this is a safety thing as well as a coverage thing. It's not just safety to keep you safe. It's also more effective coverage. What you're going to do is you're going to take your body, which is parallel to the net, right? And you're going to open it like this, like opening the door. So pivot on, if you're a right-handed player, you're going to pivot on your left foot. If you're a left-handed player, you're going to pivot on your right foot. And you're bringing your body from parallel to the net to 90 degrees to the net to start. If you're going to go back, you can also then go this way and go back. What you do not want to do is move backward. Move with your back of your head in the direction you're going. You need to go either sideways, so a shuffle, right? That's when you open the 90 and go shuffle. Or if you want to turn around and go get it, that's fine, going forward. But I will tell you this. If you're not opening the door, do not go chase lobs.
Do not do
Let
anything
them go.
else.
Let them go. And I will tell the only career-ending injury in pickleball, well, not only, but statistically, the most dangerous risk in pickleball is backward movement, because backward movement leads to falling, hitting your head, or breaking a wrist. We know many examples of it, and don't do it. So that's the best advice I can give you in 2 minutes on the lob. So
absolutely. All right, I'm going to take one, and then I'll tee up a couple for you.
Yep.
I have 5 weeks total knee replacement, still icing and elevation with physical therapy 3 times a week. I miss pickleball. I bet you do. I know it's hard to be away from the courts.
Mhm.
Do you think if I got one of those hand-eye coordination tools that would help me as far as focus, etc.? I'm even thinking one of those paddles with the rubber ball and the string for daily practice. What do you think? Mirror drills, I will be able to do likely in a few weeks. That was my suggestion, was the mirror drills. I think those would be excellent, right? If you can stand, you can do mirror drills, right? You can work on your block volley. You could start by working on your punch volley. And I'm assuming even with a knee replacement that you could stand for a little bit. And if you can't stand, put a chair in front of the mirror, sit in the chair, elevate, put your ice on, your ice pack on, and start with block volleys and punch volleys. And then as soon as you're able to, start with your ground stroke motion, which is get the paddle out in front of you, lift the ball up and over the net. All righty, Tony.
I would also say, CJ, if you're out of commission, don't forget about your mind. Very important part of pickleball. Yep. And we have a podcast called Pickleball Therapy. It's on every week. You have plenty of episodes to catch up on. I think we have 200 and some. And it's just, you go to Pickleball Therapy anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's a great way to get the mental part handled while you're off the court, and you'll feel much better and play way better when you get back on the court. So
absolutely. Hope you get back out on the court soon. And by the way, I know there's just been a couple of questions. Some of you have tickets for the summit. You're asking questions. Others are like, what is this Pickleball Summit? It's a free online event. Get all the information and your free ticket at pickleballsummit.com. So it's
online. I mean, there's like the only reason not to come is because you don't want to, and that's your choice. You do you. That's the only reason not to join.
Exactly. Tony, I do want to read this because I think that this one was super important. This came in earlier. I'm part of the March Pickleball System Group. Kudos to Tony for encouraging us to think of ourselves as athletes. I signed up for 5 sessions with a personal trainer, after which I started lifting weights. Today at Pickleball, my opponent said, "You seem to be hitting harder." The strength training must be paying off. And here's the thing. Not only is it paying off on the pickleball court, as we get older, that strength training pays off in big dividends in terms of enabling us to live a healthier, better life. All right. Tony, what's a good set of drills or drill to help slow the ball down when a team is consistently driving the ball at you?
This is going to sound counterintuitive. Our recommendation is practice out balls, which is not hitting the ball. And that's a learned skill. We have a bangers course inside our academy. You can check it out, but that's a learned skill, is to let balls go. We think we have to hit every ball. You're the Bengals Huckleberry if you're hitting every ball. So practice letting those balls go. Rewire the brain. All
right. Let's see. I'll take this one really quick and we'll jump back up to you. Another one for you. What is poaching? Poaching is simply a player recognizes that the shot is probably going in the direction of their partner and they step in front of the partner and get to the ball faster, take the ball and surprise their opponents. Let's see. I just lost the one that I got
one here, CJ. Weather and court conditions equal or non-factor. Yep. Choose serve or return in tournament game. I'm going to give you the answer to this. If you're a tournament player, I cannot. Again, it sounds like we're log rolling the whole time. I'm not trying to log roll here. You're asking questions that are just hitting us in the wheelhouse. We have a tournament game plan course. There's a lot to playing a tournament. I've played. I mean, include tennis, hundreds of tournaments, but in pickleball, I played 100 at least tournaments, and there's a lot to do. Timeouts are really important. This is important. There's a whole bunch of things. So check that out if you're playing a lot of tournaments. Why not get the most out of it? But the answer to this question is you're going to pick return. So that's the answer to your question.
All right. Okay. So we always have this lefty-righty thing. I mean, forever we have this lefty-righty thing. So I'm going to throw a couple lefty questions your way because, by the way, one of us is righty. And one of us is lefty. All right. So take it from the lefty authority. Do you attack a team with a left-handed player and a right-handed player different, especially when there are forehands in the middle and the typical shots go into their power, both deep and at the non-volley zone?
So I'm going to answer the question more generally. I'm going to suggest to you think about players. You can think about left-handed, right-handed. That's fine. But think about it in terms of strength. So where the strongest sides of the player, because there are players I've played in tournaments with left-handed players. Yeah, I'm a left-handed player who are racquetball players, or he's a racquetball player, and so his backhand is better than his forehand. His backhand is better than his forehand, so his backhand in the middle by forehand in the middle, that's the strength, and so it looks like, I don't want to, I can go there because there's a backhand there, not necessarily. So think in terms of strength of player, and then if you're playing competitively, you want to find the weaknesses and then attack the weaknesses. So sure.
All right. Since we're on the lefty-righty thing, I'm just going to throw this one back out there for you as well.
Oh no, not the stacking question.
Yeah, come on.
I'm gonna sell them on stacking. Go ahead.
All right, because like you're also talking to like a stacking, like I mean, like
I'm the school of stacking for sure.
But here's what we all have superpowers. Yeah. Honestly, we all have superpowers. One of Tony's superpowers is stacking. That truly is in terms of his understanding how to solve the puzzle. And too many players do what we call robo stacking. They do this. They just stack.
Players who stack, right? Who know how to stack, right?
Right. They just stack, just like they would if they were switching sides. They don't change it based on what's happening. The situation. Yeah, based on what's happening inside the game. So
let me read the question. So I'm not sold on stacking.
It.
I'm a lefty and don't see it. I know the theory is the forehand will be in the middle, but to me, the X solves a riddle, forehand or backhand. I love the X. Thanks for bringing that up. That's Respect the X that we developed here in our coaching team. But the stacking is extremely powerful because you can control your destiny. You can decide, I want to play on the right or I want to play on the left. If you don't do stacking, you're playing as a victim. I'm using the term victim very loosely here, of the score. You're basically like, whatever the score is, that's what I got to do. When maybe you don't want to be receiving those cross courts or those shots. It's not just the middle. The middle's part of it, but there's a lot more to stacking. And we have a whole course on stacking. So it's actually a masterclass. But no, stacking is super, super powerful. And the proof is in the pudding. The pros stack. Why do they stack? Because it gives them an edge. So anyway, try it out.
So here's a couple. Calvin asked one, and Nia asked something very similar. So I'll tackle these two together. Calvin said, what are some positive things I can say to my partner when he/she makes several unforced errors in a row and starts to get down on themselves? And Nia asked something really similar. She said, what's the best way to deal with that, with the feeling of letting your partner down when you're not playing your best game? So I would say a couple of things. On the positive side is we always want to set the stage, or I do as a player. I want to set the stage where you are comfortable to make mistakes, because you know what? I'm going to make some mistakes too. I can pretty much guarantee that when I step on a pickleball court, I've not yet played a perfect game. Maybe you have, Tony, but I have not yet played.
I have twice.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Never.
Right. I've not yet played a perfect game of pickleball. I am definitely going to make some mistakes when I'm out there playing pickleball. So one of the things that I'm going to borrow this from one of our friends, one of our coaching friends down in Raleigh. What Jen does is at the start of the game, she says, all right. She says, give me she starts with a paddle tap. And then she takes her paddle over and she puts it on the back fence. And she says, I'm putting all our bad shots here on the back fence. That just starts to relax players from the very beginning. So one other thing that I love, turn to the middle of the court, right? At the end of the point, turn towards the center of the court and look at your partner. Those are two big things that I like to use. And then when you're feeling like you're letting another player down, chances are we're always more focused on what we're doing than what anyone else is doing on the court. They're maybe not as in tune to the mistakes that we're making as we are in tune to the mistakes that we're making. So you know what? Let yourself off the hook. We are all going to have games where we don't play as well as we'd like to play. Have fun, enjoy the experience, take a deep breath, and just enjoy the game.
And I would suggest one other thing that I've been using recently. A couple of things. One is if you're playing in a high stress situation, competitive league or something like that, one thing you can do is tell your partner, that it's a pleasure to play with you, an honor to play with you. I'm happy to be with you. That helps them out. And the other thing I told a partner of mine recently, new partner I was playing with, was that there's no sorry. In other words, like literally, I said to her, there's no shot you can hit that's wrong. So, you play your game, do your game. And I think it relaxed her and relaxed me, and everybody was happier. So maybe that'll help as well. So.
Exactly. All right, let's see. Oh, I'm just kind of looking back onto. Man, I got to
There's
tell you,
one.
the questions are flying fast and furious all over the place. Yep, absolutely. Go ahead. You said there was one
There's
that
a
you
question on
saw.
here about volley drills. You see that one? Can I do that one?
Sure.
How to do volley drills. So how to work effectively for volley drills. We have been drilled diligently, but made little progress to sustain a volley drill, hit back and forth in volley, back and forth in volley, I assume. I would say, then maybe you're not ready for that drill, which is okay, And so what you do is you have your partner step off the line and then they hit ground strokes and you volley, ground stroke volley until you get into a rhythm. It's not easy to just go out there and just hit volleys in the air back and forth. It looks easy when the pros do it, but it's not that easy. So, unwind the progression a little bit. And whenever you're drilling, if you run into an obstacle like that, unwind it a little bit, right? Go back a step. It's not back. I shouldn't say it that way. It's just, find a progression of the drill that will work for you right now. And then you can work into that progression. Don't just keep on doing the same thing though. Hit your head against the wall. It's going to get frustrating and not going to be productive for you. So.
And here's the other thing is as I've come along in pickleball, I didn't come from a racket sport. My drilling partner and I, we've been drilling partners for I think 3 or 4 years. There are drills that we do with ease today that we struggled with getting the ball to go back and forth 3 or 4 times 4 years ago. So like Tony said, some of that is just the learning curve. And we missed this one from Bill. I really like this. Bill said, what is the best excuse heard when a shot was missed? I heard the other day, I love this. This ball seems to be a little low on air.
Little Tom Brady, a little deflate gate. I like it.
Ooh. Bill, I'm not sure that I've heard one better. I had to think, are we playing tennis or are we playing pickleball?
I like it.
I do too. All right. Cool. And again, for those of you who are already in Hay Summit, this is where you are going to watch all of your events. We do have another pre-summit event coming up this week, by the way. We have the Pulse of Pickleball, where we are joined by five other players who really we're going to talk about how the game's evolving. I guess we're going to talk about that's the day. Today we were going to talk about pet peeves, but like
no time for pet peeves today. There's too many. We have self questions pending, right? So we're gonna do pet peeves on Thursday. So join us on Thursday. Right. If you want to hear the survey results and what we all think about them. So
well, and can I tease just a little bit of it?
As long as you don't give away the top 2, you can say anything you want.
I won't. So I just throw it in the chat right now. Throw it in the chat. What do you think was a bigger pet peeve for players? Illegal serves or bad line calls? But if it's illegal serves, put 1. If it was bad line calls, put 2. Just throw that in the chat. Illegal serves is a 1. Bad line calls is a 2. Put it in the chat.
All right, CJ, I'm going to take another question while they're doing that.
You got it.
Which is, how important is a fast, powerful serve, assuming I can keep it in and deep consistently? The most important thing a serve is in and deep consistently. Other than that, I will say this to you. There's 2 reasons to have a fast, powerful serve. One is because everything else in your game is amazing and you're okay, let's refine this some more. I'm going to believe that there's other areas of the game you can spend more time on that spend time on that'll give you more value. And the other reason to do it is just because you like it, just because it makes you happy. Otherwise, don't worry about it. In and deep, you're doing great. Focus on another part of your game. So,
let's see.
Do you want to do the one-on-one question, 1v1? That's kind of interesting.
Oh, I didn't. Go ahead. I didn't see it. I saw another one.
I'm a new player and play with my buddy 1v1 in singles format. Really enjoy playing that way, but I noticed that the coaches and staff at our club keep trying to push us to play doubles format. No one else in the club seems to play singles. Did we miss a memo? Sorry, this is a dumb question. No dumb question. We can't understand why people care we play 1v1 or 2v2. Thank you. Listen, enjoy the game. Are you enjoying 1v1? Singles, there's nothing wrong with singles. Play singles. A local player, a friend of mine who's a senior pro player, he only likes to play singles. I mean, he plays doubles once in a while with us, but most of the time he'd rather just go out there and bang the ball in singles. God bless him. God bless you. Play singles. Enjoy yourself. I don't know why they're trying to push you into doubles if you enjoy singles. I can't answer that question, but you enjoy the game. It's a beautiful game. Enjoy it. 1v2. whatever you want to do, 3v4, I don't care. Just enjoy the game as long as you're having a good time. So anyway.
Exactly. And I got to tell you, I enjoy playing both. I like the workout that I get when I play singles, and I like skinny singles as well. So, I mean, pickleball is pickleball. Have fun. Be out on a court, have a good time. Let's see. Here, this is the one that I wanted to tee up about a blind date. You know all about dating, Tony. Just teasing. He's been married for a while. Playing in my
blind dates in pickleball, though.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Is playing in my first tournament and have been matched with a partner. It's the first. It's our first for both of us, and we won't have a chance to meet or play beforehand. So I don't know if you missed this when I said it. This is Lee, and playing in my first tournament and have been matched with a partner. It sounds like it's both of their first tournaments, and they're not going to get together beforehand. How do we optimize our partnership and play a good game together?
To me, there's two things I'm going to tell you. One is this is the situation where I would express gratitude to my partner, right, for playing with me blind like this. Secondly, set reasonable expectations. I think our podcast episode like 4 ago or something like that, at Pickleball Therapy, deals exactly with this, which is setting reasonable expectations when you're playing. You are going to have a much better event. You're going to enjoy yourself much better if you set reasonable expectations. When you're playing brand new with somebody at a tournament, it's going to be difficult. You go out there, you do your best. But I think gratitude to your opponent, to your partner, opponents as well, but to your partner in this situation, as well as setting reasonable expectations. And check out that episode of the podcast to help you out.
So Kathy said, a team I play only want to play better players, saying that's the only way they'll get better. I've told them they would benefit from playing teams that are at their level, but they have a chance of winning. I think winning is a learned behavior. What are your thoughts? So a couple of things, and I'm going to let Tony take part of this one, because we have a podcast on winning, because that is one of the things that you cannot control winning. But I'm going to take the first part about playing with better level teams. You need to play with a variety of level teams. And so I 100% disagree that the only way to get better is to play against better players. Because here's the thing. If you're trying to play against better players and your only focus is winning, your focus is not on making your game different. And if you want your game to change, your game has to be different. And frankly, if you are playing at players who are potentially not at your level, that's the situation that gives you the opportunity to try a variety of different shots, to bring in some shots, to take some chances, to do some things differently. So I will make the argument to say that going out and playing with players that may be slightly below you is potentially even better for your game than playing at players who are above you. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get your butt kicked if all you're thinking about is winning, or chances are you're going to get your butt kicked. What does that do for your psyche and your self-confidence and things like that? So let me also
step back. I'm going to echo exactly what CJ said. I'll second that, but I want to add another piece to it, right? As I mentioned, I'm a senior pro player, right? So your friends come to me and they want to play with me, right? I'm assuming they're not 5-0s, right? So they want to play with me. So I'm like, okay, let's play, right? Now, are your friends, let's assume they're 4-0s. Are they going to, when a 3-5 says, will you play with me? They're going to say no to them. Then why would I say yes to them? See what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this very myopic view of like, I'll play this way, but I'm not going to play this way behind me, right? Only this way. If everybody did that, then your friends have nobody to play with, because the 4-0s they want to play with, or the 4-5s want to play with, only play with 5-0s, right? They're not going to play with them. See what I'm saying? So it's self-defeating. So maybe that'll help explain it to them. I don't really, anyway, yeah, definitely shouldn't do that. So,
exactly. Let's see here. You came from tennis. Comments on trying to change culture of mini tennis game versus pickleball with dinking.
It'll happen over time. It happened to me, and the best way to do it is kick their ass with an understanding of the non-volley zone. That's what happened to me and my wife Jill. Was we got our asses handed to us. We were tennis players playing mini tennis, and we got destroyed by players who knew how to use the non-volley zone. They killed us. We didn't know what to do. We lost like in 3 minutes, 11-0. It was like, holy shit. So listen, if you learn how to use a non-volley zone, you will destroy tennis players. Sorry, that's life. So CJ, there's a question here that I like about drilling. You ready for this one?
Sure.
If a player only has 1 hour, 4 days a week to drill before open play, what would you suggest as a blueprint to get the most bang for your buck? How many shots would be worked on in this 1 hour time? One shot. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. One shot.
Now let me do a caveat. One shot, one footwork, right? So when we talk about shot, you're looking really at the stroke mechanic, and then the corresponding footwork for that stroke mechanic is important as well. But
and I wouldn't mind spending an hour on footwork. Like if you need help on your lateral footwork, spend an hour, and you'll be amazed. If you spend like an hour on your lateral footwork, right, at the MVZ, just back and forth, hitting, pretending to hit balls, even getting fed some balls, however you can do it, right, for an hour, and then you play, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's the best I've ever moved in my life, so.
And like, here's the thing is, I ran into, Tony knows my drilling partner, Jeannie. I ran into her at the courts when I was filming a little bit last night. And I pulled a hamstring about a week ago. So I'm just like still not at 100%. And she said, do you feel like drilling? I'm like, yeah, let's come out and do some footwork drills. You know what I'm saying? I can do, yes, the hamstring is a little tender, but it's putting the whole shot together. I said, so let's come out and let's do some footwork drills. So that for me is the focus, especially since I kind of pulled it with a mistimed split step. So I really want to go back and do a little bit of footwork drilling on this.
There's a question here on many servers serve a short shot. Some, of course, do not. I have difficulty getting the short serve. How can I anticipate the serve that is coming to me? This is tendencies. The players who serve short, look across and look at the player and just say to yourself, is this a short server or a deep server? And then you make an adjustment based on that. If they can do both and whatever, then it's more complicated. Good for you. You have more complications in your game, more puzzle to solve. You're going to have to split the difference in terms of where you stand. You may have to anticipate a little bit. Just like take chances if you need to. So.
Oh, we have somebody. Jenny has flipped the switch on this. This is the good questions. How do we respond to players who only want to play with lower level players so that they can win every game?
I mean, the question I have for players is you have to. It's a real general question. It's like, what are you out here to? What are you out here to do? I mean, to me,
right.
I will tell you this: if there's 0% chance that your opponents can beat you, if you're there to win, right? That's what I assume they're there for. And if there's a 0 to 5% chance that their opponents can beat them, the win doesn't count, does it? Like it doesn't. It's an irrelevant event. So, I think you find a balance there. There's our friend Jess Simon came up with this. He shared this thing a while back, which is 80-10-10. So it's 80% at level, 10% up, 10% down, right? And that's a good way to kind of think about it. That'd be perfect, but something like that. You kind of think like I'm usually playing at level, a little bit higher, a little bit lower sometimes. So,
hey Tony, remember when I asked everybody in the pet peeves? Just going back to the pet peeves real quick. I said, was it more illegal serves or bad line calls? The results came in. Now, what would it be for you? Illegal serves or bad line calls?
For me, I don't care, but I can tell you what I think their answers, what the players' answers are.
I don't. Yeah, I'm the same as you. What do you think it is? It's line calls. Yeah, it's line call. But I will tell you this, man. Every time we post a serve rule video,
oh yeah, that's fire.
Oh my god, the serve rule Nazis come out. I'm telling you, it's like boom, boom, boom.
All right. So there's a couple of questions here about serving, right? So what happens when your opponent serves the ball to the wrong side of the court and hits your partner? That's a point. Anytime, forget about the serve. Anytime the ball hits your team, you lose. That's it. The ball hits you in the body. It doesn't matter if it's a serve, a volley. I don't care. You lose. Having trouble returning a spinning serve because top underspin goes different ways. How to recognize the direction. You're looking at the paddle of your opponent, of the server. So if the paddle starts high, that's going to be an underspin. That's going to be a slice. If the paddle starts low and they go up, that's going to be topspin. So that's how you can anticipate. That's reading what's happening before the ball even comes your way. So that's how you can look at that. Okay, there's another lefty-righty question. CJ, I'm going to take that one if that's okay.
Just because you're lefty? No, I'm just teasing you. Yes, absolutely.
When playing with a lefty-righty combo team, it is customary for the lefty to be on the right. This gives you forehands in the middle. However, especially in the men's doubles games, there is a lot of cross-court dinking. This means that on both sides, the players must do backhand dinks. Is there a reason why a team shouldn't try playing with forehands on the outside? Absolutely not. I've done it many times when I play. If the outside's getting attacked, then you put your strengths out there. that goes to the stacking question earlier, right? That's the power of stacking. You have the ability to modify your position to give you the best chance to win. So that's the power of stacking. What do you think about using a VR game to practice pickleball skills? I can't see the harm in it, frankly.
I've tried it.
Did you like it?
No, because it doesn't mimic the actual motion. That's what I found. I did a MetaQuest headset, and you can set it on two things. You can set it on actual movement, and you can set it on like a perceived kind of movement. And I tried it on the actual movement. You have to have a fair amount of space to be able to move. Gotcha. First of all, if you're doing that, and if you're not on that, it allows you to do like moves that come across the top, across the top like this, to be able to.
So the answer is no.
Shot on
no
the video
VR
game.
People. So get out of the VR.
I haven't found. Now that's to say, I've only tried MetaQuest.
I'm gonna answer.
That's my
no VR.
All right.
Don't do the VR for practice. If you like it, if you want to screw around in VR, have a good time. I'm going to take the next one, CJ. As a 4.0 player, someone hits a high lob and you have the choice of hitting it in the air or letting it bounce first, which has a better option. If you can take it out of the air, you always want to take it out of the air. Again, safely and reasonably well. You don't want to be hitting like a silly shot. But if you can take it out of the air, you're reducing the damage from the lob because you're stopping it from bouncing. Once it bounces and you're back, now you're in a defensive position. So, CJ, I think we got a few more. And, man, this is awesome. I love the questions coming in. So this is great.
I do. And one of the things is it shows us how curious you are about pickleball. And if you're curious about pickleball, you need to make sure that, first of all, you come to the Pickleball Summit. We've got so many great presenters coming your way. We've got Nicole Havlicek. She's going to kick us off on Sunday night from Primetime Pickleball. We have Dylan Frazier. We have Jose Derisi. We have Sarah Mitten, Deb Harrison. Dr. Todd Kays, Dr.
I don't know if
Peter
you said Dylan
Scales.
Frazier. Yeah, we have Dylan Frazier, Judy Castillo, Quan Duong. It's crazy. And, hey, singles person. We got one of the top singles players talking about single strategy. So make sure you join.
And here's the other thing. We got one of the top singles players, Judith Castillo. She's one of the top female singles players. She is talking about fitness. And I didn't realize this.
Does.
She has I think it's exercise science is her degree from college. So not only did she play tennis, she was pretty smart while she was there too. And so her and her trainer, Ty Woody, have a fantastic presentation on fitness, because you need some fitness if you're playing singles.
Tell me. Or doubles. So how do you choose a paddle? That is a question. I'm not going to address that tonight, not because I don't want to, but because that's a very involved answer. But be on the lookout. We have a paddle guide coming out at Better Pickleball. If you're on our email list, you'll get a copy of it, or you'll be notified of it, and we'll get you a copy of it if you ask for it. But there's a lot involved to choosing a paddle. The main thing is choose a paddle that's right for you, given your weight. Not your weight, the weight of the paddle you can handle, and your grip size and stuff like that. So, but it's a pretty complicated question.
I will say we got some players who are checking in from the UK, and it's 1:00 in the morning in the UK. So we're I don't know about y'all. I'm watching I know because we're watching some Wimbledon right now, right? Okay. You kind of got like a big deal going back over there. Yes, the Pickleball Summit there are recordings for the Pickleball Summit. You can watch any of the Pickleball Summit recordings through the end of the summit, which is July 16th. However, there is also an all access pass available where you have access to the recordings for an entire year. Just to let you know, the best deal on the all access pass is before the summit actually begins. And you can get all that information at pickleballsummit.com. You'll see something up there called all access pass.
It costs less than a paddle. I'll tell you that much.
I'm telling you, way less than a paddle. Cheaper than a beginner paddle these days. Right. Oh my God. Tony, when I first bought, I'm going to say this because I've been playing like 2 years, I think a year or two longer than Tony did. So when I first bought my second paddle, my first paddle cost me $40. It was a Paddle Tech Element, a good paddle. It was a really good paddle. And my second player was an Onyx, and it was because it felt different. It had a different core. It was much, much thinner. And I paid $85 for it, and everybody thought I was out of your mind. Back in the day. They thought I was crazy.
All right, CJ, I got this one. My backhand volley is better than my forehand. When stacking, should I play right side and my partner is a lefty? How should I get myself into a better position? That's a very complex question. I'm going to suggest to everybody here, if you're asking these questions, they're great questions. Stacking is a very involved. That's why it's called a masterclass and not just a course. Nothing wrong with courses, but this is more complex. You'd always want to put yourself in the best position given the situations. So there's a lot of factors going on, which is fantastic. And so highly recommend you check out the stacking inside the academy. It's full. It'll teach you everything you need to know on how to get left to right in the best position that you need to.
We got a question from Jeff Renshaw. Jeff is in here, and
What's up, Jeff?
I want to read the question. I'm going to tee this one up for you because first of all, I got to say I love the way he's thinking and he's talking about the game. I am able to read a slice/backhand return, but still have difficulty not hitting very good ones into the net. What mechanical changes do I need to consider, i.e. go for a higher trajectory than I might otherwise, super stable low base with low to high swing path?
I suggest just drive that. So drive that one, right? Doesn't have to be super hard, right? You just have to clear the net, reasonably. You don't want to hit it up here. They can smash it easily, but put it somewhere around their ribs, breast level, somewhere around, ribs, something like that. And then set up for your fifth. That's an example we talked about earlier when players drive the third. It's to extend the rally and to get out of that tough shot. Trying to hit a third drop on a really well hit slice return can be very difficult. So.
Oh, I like this. I'm just going to take this one quick. Given the restrictions that keep getting added to the volley serve, do you think the drop serve will ever be adopted in the pros? I don't know, but we hope it's adopted in pickleball.
Not in the pros. It won't be in the pros. I think it might be. It might. I mean, thankfully it's been adopted as remember it was temporary. Now it's full. Right. So if you like the drop serve, knock yourself out with the drop serve. I mean, it's a great serve. I don't use it just because I came from tennis, so it's easy for me to just I teach tennis. He tells the ball and just start the rally right for practices. So. But yeah, drop serve is fantastic. Don't not use it for some reason.
And here's the interesting part is, and we ran into somebody during the U.S. Open, very high level player who was nervous to play at her level because she used a drop serve, and she had a killer drop serve. Killer drop serve, but she was nervous to play at her level with the drop serve. Man, if you got a good drop serve, knock yourself out. I think that's fantastic.
CJ, I'm looking at the time. I'm going to do a lightning round. Can I do a lightning round?
You can do a lightning round. Yes,
I'm going lightning round, folks. Here we go. We're going to get the rest of the questions answered in short order. I'm just going to fly through this. Is that all right?
But talk to me. Almost. Yeah, almost. Here's what we're going to do before the lightning round, right? Before the lightning round is we have a bunch of presentations coming up, both the Pulse of Pickleball, which we're going to be back here Thursday. We're going to be talking about your pickleball pet peeves. That's happening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can get all this information over at pickleballsummit.com, including your free ticket to all the presentations that we have been talking about. So if you think you got questions about pickleball now, get in there and get you some answers, because I'm going to tell you there are some fantastic answers. I've seen questions on hydration, nutrition, all this sort of stuff coming in. I mean, the amount of questions are fantastic, and I know we can't answer them all necessarily. We're trying. Come to the summit, you'll get your
lightning
answers.
round as best I can, but yeah, come to the summit. Right. And there's always questions. That's one of the beauties of our sport, and we always tell players, embrace that. Embrace the fact that you have questions, because that's beautiful, right? You're growing and you're thinking. All right, here we go. I'm playing my first tournament on Saturday. What are your tips for me? Number 1, tournament game plan in the academy. Number 2, enjoy the experience. It's an awesome experience. Have fun. Don't worry about the medals, anything like that. What should you do when you serve the ball and your opponent states it's in the kitchen, but you look at his partner who knows it was in and doesn't say anything? Play on. Don't worry about it. Accept the call. Move on. If you hit it that close to the kitchen, just deal with it. It's not a big deal. Whereas rally scoring going, I think rally scoring is going to become a bigger part of our game. I wouldn't worry about it too much right now. It doesn't change too much in terms of how you approach the game. Keep playing really good pickleball. You'll be fine in rally scoring. We play rally scoring here. We're fine. We play it the same way. Yep. And
don't forget, we have a free rally scoring guide, and it's not just how to rally score. It is about rally scoring strategy, right? And how to apply different strategy. So at betterpickleball.com, rally scoring, /rally
scoring or rally dash.
You got it.
Y'all recommend not listening to advice on the pickleball court? Yep. Not just any advice. That's just, you're crazy. Sometimes when I see folks on the court giving bad advice, I want to jump in to give correct info. However, at that point, I become the kind of person that we want to avoid. Advice. You want me to give you advice on advice? That's fine. I would say if you're friends with the person receiving the advice, then take them off to the side and say, just give them some ideas in terms of like protecting their journey. I think you can do that as a friend, right? As someone who's concerned about them. You're not giving them advice about pickleball. You're just telling them, listen, you're going to get a lot of advice. I'm not trying to give you advice on pickleball. Just make sure you're listening to the right voices and send them to us. That's what we do for a living, right? Go to betterpickleball.com. We have the beginners thing. If they're beginners, we have all of our stuff online. So we're happy to help them out. How do two short guys strategy against 2 6+ guys of equal skill level? Balls low at their feet. I swear, balls low. I know it sounds weird, but I mean, that's what you want to do. Make them reach down low. Watch John Isner when he plays. He don't like going low. He wants high balls. If opponents hits on your side, then spins back over the net to their side without you touching it, do you lose a point? Yes. That's the rule. You can reach across the net and touch it. So that's an exception to the rule. But come on, how often is that happening anyway? Once every like 7,000 rallies. So I wouldn't worry about it. But yes, you lose the point. I think I already answered the question on the lob, so I'm not going to answer it again. How to stop hitting into the net and overhead smash. We just dropped the video on Into Pickle on that one. Check that one out because it talks about that. It talks about you dropping your shoulder and your body. So that one's in there. Plus, in our lob coverage video, we have a 15-minute video on just how to hit overheads and smashes. Masterclass. So check that one out. I'm seeing a trend where the third shot is more of a drive drop versus higher topspin drop directly into the kitchen. Is this the method now for third shot drops due to better paddle technology that has better grab? Listen, there's all sorts of third shot ideas. We have a new class coming out in the academy that's going to be about a hybrid third shot that our good friend and top senior pro and great coach John Sperling is teaching now. That has to kind of drops in. He shows you how to do it. But if you watch the pros play, they play a high loopy one still, right? So, there's all sorts of different concepts on the third shot. I wouldn't get too hung up on technique too much. I'd get more hung up on like my movement on reacting to the third, right? How am I moving, reacting to it? And then layer onto that more complexity in terms of where I'm hitting it and how I'm hitting it. When will tournaments not allow players to play down, e.g. 4.5 dupers playing 4.0? I wish I knew the answer to that question. But here's the thing. Again, if you're playing a tournament, just enjoy the experience. I know sandbagging happens and these things. Yeah, okay. There's no cure. I played tennis, at a pretty high level. And even in tennis, been around forever trying to manage that. It's going to happen. So, I wish there was a solution. Does the paddle I use really make a difference? I use the Gamma Havoc, Lindsay Newman signature. Nice. I love Lindsay Newman. People at the pickleball court say I should change paddle to get more precision and better plays. Generally speaking, no. Again, we're going to go out with a paddle guide. As long as you're within a range of paddles, it's fine. As long as the paddle's not too heavy for you and the grip is good for you, you're probably going to be fine. Now, if the paddle's super old, yes, or beat up, then the paddle can deteriorate in performance. You might want to consider a new paddle. But I will tell you this, your game is not going to change radically because you bought a $300 paddle. It's just reality. And then,
because you bought 5 $300 paddles.
You're better off buying one system course. I'll be honest with you.
I'm telling you.
At what level do you start to see the Ernie often? Okay. I love the Ernie question. I call it lightning round, so I can't go too deep on it. The Ernie, folks, is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. And I'm going to just leave you with this. Watch the pro players who are winning those tournaments and how often they Ernie. J.W. Johnson Ernie the other day, and I was watching. I was like,
I know. It was like,
Johnson just Ernie. I don't know if I've ever seen Dylan Frazier, maybe once Ernie.
I have seen Dylan Frazier Ernie like once or twice.
It's so rare, and the Erniers, they're stuck in the middle rounds. So forget the Ernies, folks. Just put it out of your mind. Just enjoy it when Ben or JW or somebody like that does it, or Anna Lee does it once in a blue moon. Just go like, wow. And just enjoy it.
Can we just share from our perspective, from the pickleball system and sure, the things we do in our academy courses? All right. Has everybody got this? Is everybody still listening? Less is more. So whenever you think about doing more, remember less is more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I interrupted your lightning round.
No, I think that's it. That's the end of the lightning round. That was the last question I see. I don't see any other questions, so we're good.
My goodness gracious, we got a lot of excitement going on here for the upcoming Pickleball Summit. Like I said, we got so much coming your way. Come on back. We're going to talk pickleball pet peeves, because I got to tell you, y'all got a lot of pet peeves.
And I'm going to give you a big picture on pet peeves. I'll give you a sort of a spoiler here, or a little teaser. The issue with pet peeves is they're distracting you from enjoying the game and playing your best, because they're taking away mental bandwidth, and you can't perform as well as you could if maybe some of those slid down. Pickleball therapy, we got you covered on those. Actually, I'm going to do an episode on pet peeves, CJ. I'm going to drop it on Friday. There you go. Boom.
Oh,
Friday. Episode on pet
all right.
peeves.
We got
Done.
it on Pickleball Therapy Podcast, which is also on YouTube or your favorite podcast provider. All right. If you don't have your ticket for the Pickleball Summit, go on over, get your Pickleball Summit ticket at pickleballsummit.com. If you are thinking about adding some of the things at the summit, looking at those presenters and want to add that to your learning repertoire over the next year, go up to the All Access Pass. You can get all the information over there at pickleballsummit.com. But
and if you're not coming to the summit, send me an email at tony@betterpickleball.com and tell me why, because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. If you decide not to come to the summit, what's your reason? I'm not going to judge you. I'm just curious.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to be back here. So, and you're going to get, if you are back here on Thursday night for the Pulse of Pickleball, your front row seat is inside of the pickleballsummit.com. That's where you go to get your front row seat. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook, but your front row seat is at the pickleballsummit.com. So we are going to see you back here tomorrow night, 2 nights. All right. Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
All right.
CJ, I'll see you on Thursday.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody in the chats. Thanks, all the team. Bye.